But take a look at this. The New York Post with the headline, Black Sunday. Cruz knee out. 4th season as Eagles bury Big Blue. Joining us now, our NFL analyst, Eric Allen. How are you?
Great.
You are.
Yes.
Better than Victor Cruz.
This is for sure.
Wasn't that a weird injury? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It really was.
Because
he went up and you didn't know what happened.
Yeah, you didn't see any, kind of stress really on the knee. And it was just really unfortunate. My son's dealing with knee injuries, so it kills you when a guy, so good for his team goes down like that.
And when you saw him sob like that, you knew it was over.
You knew right away. He knows the whole process of not being able to play, help his football team, and then having to go to PT, for a whole year. And it's patella tendon, not the ACL, so that's a big deal. That's the one that holds that kneecap together. So you don't know kind of what's going to happen, and the process of coming back is a little different from the ACL. So we really feel for anyone who gets hurt, but particularly a guy like that who's, so huge in New York.
I know. Broke my heart. Okay, so let's talk about the game in itself. Former Eagle, you can give us. Was this really about how good the Eagles were, or just an off day? As Antrell Rolls said, did they just take the day off? Bad Giants?
A couple things, and that stuck out with me. Obviously, 200 yards rushing for the Philadelphia Eagles. LaShawn McCoy getting started. The Giants cannot allow that to happen if they're going to have any chance of beating this Philadelphia Eagles team. And that's been the one aspect of the Eagles that have been keeping them from having a consistent offensive game. We've seen, one quarter splashes, but 200 yards with McCoy getting off, that really was the start of the dominance for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think. And when they're running the ball well, that gives great confidence to the offensive line. And when the offensive line feels comfortable, Nick Foles was able to target 9 receivers yesterday. I thought the running game was spectacular. And then defensively, 8 sacks. 8 sacks, which is supposed to be the Giants a quick rhythm offense, get the ball out of your hands, and what he's been doing the last 3 games in those wins, he's been doing a great job. Eli Manning getting the balls out of his hand, getting the ball out of his hands, but they just dominated up front, and that's what I saw yesterday in the NFC East. I saw the teams that dominated up front dominate football games, and the Eagles, without a doubt, were the dominant football team. It had nothing to do with the Giants taking a day off. It was all about the dominance of the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, Stephen A.
He's absolutely right. Somewhere along the way, the Eagles' offensive line decided to show up and created some holes for LaShawn McCoy. He came into the game averaging just 2.3 yards a carry with their 2 tight end sets, but he had 2 big runs to start out the game off of that same set. So clearly they were doing a better job of blocking, and I think that definitely helped them. There's no question about that. I should have known that this would have happened to the Giants the second that we realized that Rashad Jennings was not going to be able to play in this game because it was going to neutralize and pretty much take away their running game, but you still didn't anticipate that the Giants would go scoreless against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, obviously what happened to Victor Cruz, even though they were already in a hole, it still broke my heart to see that happen to him because, you got to remember, Skip, when I was in college, my kneecap cracked in half. It was the patella knee. I mean, it's just anytime I see something like that, it's just devastating. And obviously, playing in the National Football League and going through the level of extensive rehab that he's going to go to, you got to believe that hopefully he'll be able to come back healthy. But it's just a devastating blow to this team psychologically, and I don't think the Giants are going to be able to do anything going forward. But getting back to the Eagles, when their running game is big time, everything else falls into play. When you look at LaShawn McCoy running the football and Darren Sproles being the threat that he is, basically the Eagles are going to be able to put up points. Their vertical game is still not what it used to be because Deshaun Jackson is no longer in an Eagles uniform. He's in Washington, and now you've got Macklin and Cooper and the boys that have to come through and find a way to go deep. But Nick Foles was even missing guys sometimes when they were open deep. When you looked at him yesterday, he wasn't perfect, but he still made some good throws. In the end, what it comes down to is that everything was working against the Giants. Like Antrell Rose said, they basically took a game. They took a day off because they let the Eagles come out and punch them right in the mouth. And when you let that happen at the very beginning of a game within this division, that's usually a bad sign because both teams are usually hyped about going up against one another, and it usually doesn't go down like that. So when it does, it's usually an indication that one team did not come to play.
I'm going to disagree with both of you about this. And I first guessed this because I tweeted about it. I was shocked at how the Giants came out with bad body language. Like I'm with Antrell Roll, like they were just taking the entire night off. And I should have known when we sat here, we had Mark Schlereth in your seat on Friday. He picked the Giants. Stephen A. picked the Giants. And then it was up to me. And I already picked the Giants, so I'm not going to change. And I said, I think Philly just won this game. Mm-hmm. This is back, Stephen A., to my theory that I've told you about many times on this show about the New York football Giants. Tom Coughlin doesn't motivate this team. The New York media motivates this team. Oh. What have we seen so many times in the past? This team will get off to a horrendous start with Eli as the quarterback. The media will call them garbage, get them out of our sight, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh, yeah, watch this. So what happened this year? Opening Monday Night Football. Remember that at Detroit? This team looked hapless and hopeless. 35-14 Lions. Remember that? Yep. And then they go home, and Arizona did pretty much the same thing to them in New Jersey. And the media said, get them out of our sight. And what did they do? They responded, motivated by the media, by winning 3 straight games, including that Thursday night game at Washington, 45-14. They looked like a Super Bowl team that night. And all of a sudden, they were the big, bad Giants again. And everybody is picking the Giants to win at Philadelphia. I think a majority of experts, I don't know this for a fact, but it seemed like many experts picked the Giants to win at Philadelphia. And how did the Giants respond? As if they could just sort of roll their helmets out on the field, and Philly would fold up and lay down, and it would be over.
That's saying a lot, Skip.
Okay.
With a head coach and a quarterback who have won 2 Super Bowls, saying that you can't play from in front. So that's saying a lot.
Okay, but they get motivated by the media, and then they get on late-season rolls, except this time it started a little earlier in the year. They got on an early-season roll, games 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then come out to this one, and this is devastating. This is 27-0. They did not want to play last night from opening kickoff.